member of the bar in good standing. In the LGBT community, we actually have, for instance, if it was a transgender individual, they may not be a member of the bar, but may be of incredible service to the board to help look at the different perspectives that would be missed by anybody else on this board. I would also implore that this commission consider the disabilities community. It was only a few years ago that we saw in Miami-Dade a case of, I believe it was a child with autism, who there was a shooting involved of a black gentleman that made national news.
Please close.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, and so I just ask that you consider the disabilities community also to have a seat, as well as the LGBT community. And you might, in terms of looking at systems and the clerk of the court, you might want to have the clerk of the court designate somebody as well, because access to filing restraining orders and other types of issues dealing with the criminal justice system, there could be other aspects, and that would be a valuable stakeholder in this board, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Reyna.
I just ask you make those changes.
Operator, anyone else?
Patty Reed.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello, Patty Reed. Yes, I would like to thank the commissioner and Mayor Holderness. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, please.
Hello? Okay, I'm sorry. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone in their prospective places and attendance. A special thanks to Mayor Holderness for sponsoring this special board. However, I'm going to skirt tail off of the last speaker because I have a disabled child, and there are certain laws that are in place that's supposed to protect him, but very rarely in our court system, state attorney's office, everybody seems to be insensitive to the special needs of our disability community. My son Landon was kidnapped, taken from me. I was falsely arrested. I'm still going through the process of the injustice, and it seems that there's no accountability, there's no proper checks and balance to the abuse of power, there is no accountability to our constitutional protected rights. It's just a one big mess without the proper oversight and accountability. And as Mayor Holderness might be aware of, this week I just forwarded to the mayor's attention the things that I have been dealing with in terms of this should not be happening in America. I should know where my child is. I should know where he is, period. Period. And it's just a shame how the state attorney's office has handled this whole matter. It seems like they want to sweep it under the rug without any accountability, because that means that you will have to hold judges, attorneys, and defense attorneys accountable.
Please close. Ms. Reed, time's
And
up.
it's outright wrong that we, the people, have to go on.
Time's up, Ms. Reed.
There's no help for the innocent. So we need to go back to the laws and create better laws for innocent people who are wrongly accused.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Operator,
For your time.
thank you. Operator, is there anyone else?
Hello.
Anna, yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Hi. It's my impression that I have about 3 minutes, so I'm going to make this brief. My name is Kristen Torres. I'm calling today in support of more community funds going in on action item number 55. While there is this review board, and I thank the commission for trying to put this proposal through, I don't feel like having a review board with any current or former cop is going to do anything if you're not actually talking to the community in which you're trying to appease. If there's no community organizers or activists or people who are fighting every day to keep our community safe on that board, there's no point. This review board is a band-aid to an even bigger systemic problem that we have in Broward County that I've lived here my whole life. So I'm calling today to even call, honestly, for more than 10% of the BSO budget to be reallocated into affordable housing, reallocated into mental health services, aid for homelessness. The fact that the BSO law enforcement contracts are going to be about $253 million as opposed to $17 million for homelessness and $2.9 for affordable housing is a disgrace, especially after having someone like Lee Feldman in Fort Lauderdale doing a development boom that has displaced displace disproportionate communities and funneling them into our prisons. We don't need cages. We don't need more police. It's tone deaf of the commission to not recognize the moment that we're here in history demonstrating. The community deserves more funds. What safety looks like is beyond police and cages. It's affordable housing. It's social services that make people get better quality of life for everyone. Because safety is not just funneling, cages, polices, firemen. Like, we need to have more access to better education, healthcare, to pandemic, obviously the racism from the beginning of America to just COVID-19. And we're seeing how disproportionately this is affecting communities of color, Black, Indigenous folks, and displaced folks that are redlined off into a community that don't have access to some of these resources. Just having a fraction of that going into homelessness, aid, affordable housing to house our folks, and mental health services so that police who are just armed with guns and lackluster communication skills don't go assaulting and murdering unarmed. Thank you so much for your time. I yield my time. Please consider that.
Thank you very much. Operator, do we have anyone else? I didn't get the name of the person who came on, but operator, please, anyone else?
I do not believe so.
All right, good. Thank you. Okay, several issues were raised, and if I may just speak briefly to them, and then we'll go around the table. There was a late addition, Miss Deborah McLaughlin. We never got her. We're done. No, okay. All right. Let me thank all those who spoke. What we put in forward is what we can work with within the constraint of the law. And I'd like to have our county attorney's office address the constraints that we have as it pertains to some of these issues that we have presented by some of the folks that called in. We know that the state law has some restriction as to us being able to discipline the police department, and we don't really run any of them directly. The sheriff is in control of that. In terms of us reallocating his budget, we have restrictions on that county attorney and county administrator may speak to. I do take some of the suggestion in terms of ensuring that we have broad representation, and what we might look to do is to put some more categories that we as commissioners may choose from that we should include. How we work that is something that we'll have to look to do. I think we have a pretty broad categorization, and I didn't really want to limit too much what we do here, but in many other boards, we do have categories that each of us would select from, and that might be something that we might be able to do to deal with Mr. Rayner's suggestion and someone else's suggestion that we have someone representing organizations that work in the criminal justice system and nonprofits included in the list of people that we look to put on this board. And there was a suggestion about having people representing the disabled community also. So, County Attorney, would you speak to some or someone from your staff on the limitation that we have going into this?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. And I can speak to it very generally. I also have Adam Katzman and Scott Andron on the line. As you know, Scott worked very directly on this work product, but what you said is correct. You actually understated it a little bit. You said there are restrictions on our ability to get involved in police disciplinary matters. I would say it's more a prohibition, and we can't do it. We should not be doing anything that would intrude into the field of disciplining officers. So that's the primary restriction. I would, a lot of the comments that were made, proposed amendments could be prepared. I would turn it over to Scott Andron if I could for a moment, just let him add anything that he would like to, and he could answer any specific questions.
Go ahead, Mr. Andron.
Scott? If you're speaking, unmute, please.
Yeah, pound 2 unmute and unmute yourself. Operator, would you ensure that he's released?
Mayor,
I've
while
been
we're
working closely with him, yes.
waiting for him for a second, you know, everything in here, the way that it was drafted, is, we believe, permissible. I asked my folks when they analyze these things to draft them in terms of green light, that it's pretty clear that we can do it. Yellow light, proceed with caution, or red light. I told you the red light before, what we need to stay away from. Is that Scott? Okay.
I'm here, Your Honor, or here, Drew.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Scott. Please,
Go ahead, please.
please proceed.
Good morning, or afternoon, I should say, Mayor and Commissioners. I think the county attorney described the situation exactly right. The state has entrusted law enforcement officer discipline into the hands of their employers and left not a lot of wiggle room for anyone else to get involved in that. Now, so what we've tried to do here is get involved where you can, which is by looking after the fact at closed cases and looking at trends and patterns. Just as an example that comes to mind, when this board decided to give out civil citations for marijuana violations, initially, we were collecting data on that. Our Human Services Department, I believe, collected the data, and it initially showed a lot of the citations going to Weston. And when that was brought to BSO's attention, it changed, and they were used more broadly. And I think that's the approach that this takes. I'd be happy to answer specific questions.
Okay, and county attorney, in terms of, and county administrator, I don't know if either you want to, in terms of changing the sheriff's budget, I know that he can go to the state and get us overridden if he doesn't agree. Would you speak to that a little bit also, please?
That's the legal part of it. You just covered it, Mayor, and I'm sure that county administrator has, will cover the non-legal part.
So the sheriff's office and actually all of your constitutional officers, they sit with the county if they have concerns about the size of the budget or issues that they want to address in the budget and they're not financially given the funds support to do that. They have the right to go to Tallahassee and appeal whatever budget that you have provided for them. That said, we're not today in that situation. As you have seen as part of the dialogue that we're constantly having right now, you know that the airport and seaport have issues. The sheriff's working with us on those issues, and whatever come out of this board, we would expect that we would have that kind of dialogue and engagement.
Okay, but we don't design the sheriff's budget for him. He designs his own budget. We don't tell him what he allocates his funds for. That's something that he does being a constitutionally elected officer of Broward County. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. And with that, let me just highlight some of the things that we're doing on our side of the ledger to help with many of these issues. We have a family self-sufficiency program that we utilize, and that's $14.9 million annually. Substance abuse is $21 million through BARC. We have children's service programs and homeless service contracted $7.6 million, $1.5 million. Behavioral health budget $795,000. Homelessness $24.7 million. Healthcare, $38.3 million, a total of $109 million is what we are allocating. We're not blind to those issues of ensuring that we're doing what's necessary to help with the social service issues that exist here within Broward County. And with that, and not negating any of the statement that's made, I understand clearly that we need to do more, and we'll work to do as much more as we possibly can within the constraints that we have. I agree that there's a lot of things that are inadequate in terms of our budget, and we need to look to ensure that we're prioritizing what's most important. And I'm hoping the sheriff will make some adjustment, and I know he's had I've had those discussions with him about making adjustments to ensure that more funding goes to many of these programs that folks are asking for. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and go to Commissioner Ryan. I think you were first, and Commissioner Geller, then Commissioner Bogan. Yes.
Mayor, you brought this forward initially, and in my recollection, you had the support of this board when you first brought up, the concept, and now as we put it into a draft ordinance and we get down to the details, this is the important part. So we're working off the ordinance that you had initially drafted. On the substitute, it was just delivered to us late yesterday. So I'm going to ask that when we pass this, that we take this substitute ordinance and have it as an exhibit that will travel with this to the next public hearing, because I think we're going to talk about a lot of issues that may be helpful in amending this. But my big picture on this thing was the police hiring practices, their training, and the whole concept of the use of a strong police force, which is the heavy, versus a kind of a light police force that enters into these situations, so many of these situations where basically what you'd like to do is diffuse it, and when, under what circumstances can you come in with a couple of law enforcement officers that show up for a disturbance call or whatever, and are able to have on call somebody from social services or some other kind of mental health services that can intervene right there and help settle the whole thing. And if everybody can remain peaceful, then we can move on, and then you do the follow-up with the social services and avoid the jail system altogether. So it was very important what you brought up initially about what the scope of authority can be as it's constrained by state law, and we can't deal with the internal investigations, we can't deal with specific disciplinary purposes, but what we can do, I think, is look at how this community is different than other communities, because there's not a one size that fits all on how we can best achieve some kind of dissipation of the injustice, the social injustice and the racial injustice that has occurred. And it's amazing, you talk to people, some people don't even see it. And others are now becoming more and more aware of it, so the time is right to do so. I think we have to study on the powers and what the authority is, because, if you have a subpoena power, but you can't really enforce your subpoena, why do you want to say that you have the subpoena power and then somebody can flaunt it, and, then it becomes like a dual standard. Do you want to comply with this subpoena or not? So I don't want to put things in there that we're not able to enforce. With regard to the makeup, I would add members, and however you can develop it. One, as was mentioned by Mr. Rayner from the LGBTQ community. Secondly, I think we need somebody representative of the disability community, somebody representative from the mental health services community, somebody that is a homeless advocate, and then another person who is a substance abuse expert of some sort. Because I'm trying to think about the jail population, and these are the persons who may not even be committing crimes, but they don't fit in. They're not the right type of people, I guess, that somebody may say, if they're not doing something wrong, it just looks like they're doing something wrong. And that's kind of what we want to address. So I think that kind of a broad perspective will be helpful. And with that, I look forward to working with you on a board that can accomplish as much as possible, especially in changing kind of the whole mindset of the community on its interaction with the police forces. Thank you, Mayor.
Our colleagues, our minutes secretary is fatigued and needs a break. And at least we were able to get the public speakers out.
Mayor? if I might.
Yes.
It's my understanding that the board was looking to have a workshop on Tuesday. If
Yes.
that's in fact true, then we could delay the shade meeting until Tuesday.
Okay.
To do it after that, to gain back some time.
Okay. So we'll probably still take lunch. I don't know, but we have Young at Art also. So there's challenges here with time and today, and we have our budget hearing at 5. The minute secretary need a break. So we're gonna have to give the minute secretary a break. Yeah, we
So if we're going to do we have made provisions because we expected to have the shade meeting over lunch. So we
Yes.
made provisions for that to occur.
Yes.
We could get the shade meeting done very quickly.
Okay. All right, so colleagues, we're gonna take a working lunch with the shade meeting in our next room,
Room 430.
room 430. And that will give the minute secretary a chance to take a break also. We'll come back and pick up on this item.
Mr. Mayor, quick
Wait.
question.
Yes, sir.
For those of us calling in, what time could we call into the shade meeting?
We will, the shade meeting, they want to call in our county attorney.
10 minutes, 15 minutes, when do you want us?
Mayor, that's up to you, how quickly we can get in there, maybe 10 minutes?
So I'm going to give you guys about 7 minutes to refresh. So at 1:40, we'll be in room 430.
Bertha, just to let you know, at least 5 commissioners who agreed to Tuesday, we have to do it at 1:30 because we have time problems with some of the commissioners, but after 1:30 for Commissioner Fisher.
Yeah, well, we're happy to work with you on a time, but I didn't lock in on a time other than you wanted to do something on Tuesday. So we'll work.
All right, so
We'll work with
4:30
everyone.
4:30 in 7 minutes.
Thank you.
1:40. Thank you.
Okay, because they haven't put the Vimeo back on. They haven't shown it.
Okay.
They just still show it in recess, so there it goes. Okay.
Okay, all right, good. Staff is getting that ready.
Yeah.
We ready? Okay, staff tells me we're ready. I'm waiting, I'll wait for a couple more minutes. Yes, sir. Okay, we have Commissioner Farr here. We'll go ahead and we can get started, County Attorney.
Yes, I heard Senator Rich in the cloud
Let me just double check. Senator Rich, we have you. Vice Mayor Geller, we have you.
Yes, sir.
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have 6, so we have a quorum. We'll go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead with some discussion on this item, but I can tell you that based on the list that we have signed up to speak on 49 Young of Arc, that's 2 hours. We won't be able to get through. Not for 4 o'clock to get started on our budget workshop. When the rest of my colleagues get on the dais, I'm going to actually ask that we move this item, as the county attorney suggested earlier, to another meeting. Okay, I will make sure. Okay, Senator Geller, go ahead. We're back. We start.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Back on item 55.
Yes.
I want to share some of the concerns that were raised earlier, I believe by Commissioner Ryan, possibly some others. It's been a while. I was in support of your initial bill. I have some concerns with the latest version of it. Specifically, I believe that the county attorney had indicated problems with subpoena power. So I'm not going to spend time today, but when we are voting on this at the next meeting, I would like the county attorney to be able to discuss whether or not we do, or whether we can or cannot give that board subpoena power, because I thought we were told at our last meeting that we could not do that. Additionally, one concern that I have only as of today is where the concept of telling commissioners that you must pick someone from a certain sector. This happened on the cannabis board. My pick was I could pick someone from the Broward Sheriff's Office, which basically meant that I had no option at all. I think on something like this, each commissioner should be able to have meaningful input on who they pick. And if you are told you may only pick from a certain category, I believe that that basically takes away from the commissioners that authority. So I have a concern about that. I have a concern about the subpoena power, which I'd like to hear from the county attorney on. Not now at the next meeting. In general, so supportive of the concept. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. We have Commissioner Rich. Go ahead. You may speak.
Yeah, just very briefly. Again, I support the concept. I do have some issues with a few of the things. You have a number of people here listed as, from different bar associations, and then we get down to NAACP, that the person from their group, branch of NAACP, still has to be a member in good standing of the Florida Bar. I mean, it could be an activist. It could be, I don't know. I just think we need to revisit a few of these categories, and I think that Mr. Rayner, Michael Rayner, made a good point also about the LGBTQ community. So again, the concept I support. So just a couple of things as we move along.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Sharif.
Thank you. So I had a few changes that I wanted to suggest. One of the first ones I think is in line with something that Commissioner Ryan said, which was the social service person being on hand when the call is made for some of the mental health calls. We have a crisis team.
But that wouldn't be affected by this, though. This is not, this wouldn't be in this.
55?
Yeah, but that's an issue.
Yeah, but you're
that-
cutting me off before I
I'm
can
sorry.
finish my
Go ahead,
thoughts.
go ahead.
So, when a lot of these police brutality complaints show up in regards to people who have mental health conditions, it's because they're using law enforcement tactics and maneuvers on people with mental health conditions, and it escalates to the point where they get hurt. One of the things that I think this board has to take into consideration is maybe helping with implementing some policy that states that as a result of these types of incidents, that you have those type of people on hand. The second thing that I think needs to occur with this board is that there has to be some vehicle for the community to make direct complaints. Many times, police complaints fall on deaf ears when they come into the police station where that officer belongs. And some of the community activists out there and the people say, before this officer got to this point where he killed somebody, he had 10 or 12 complaints in the community, but they were never escalated to the point of reaching a review board. And so I believe that this process has to include an opportunity for the community to come forward with use of force complaints in their community. So that way we know if it's 10 complaints on the same officer, hey, we need to take a look at that. Third thing is there needs to be a tracking system for us as the board. So for the people on the board, there has to be a tracking system to keep a log of the type of complaints that are coming in from the community and from the policing departments so that we can correlate those and make sure that we are catching early on those officers that may need to have retraining or maybe be even removed from the force. The fourth thing is that I don't think one person from this board should be appointing a member from clergy or picking a member from clergy. I think that we need to open that up to the clergy in the community and let them come up with their representative that they feel can help represent all the zones in Broward County. Why? Because the statement that's made in the proposal says that the member is going to be picked from a disenfranchised area where police arrests are high. Well, that's probably 50% of Broward County because we're our black and brown community and they're being arrested at disproportionate rates. So what we need to do is allow an independent review of who it is that they're picking and allow them to bring their choice forward, and then we just ratify that choice. And my fifth thing is that when you're talking about putting together a board for the express purpose of monitoring or dishing out a series of punishment or reprimands or redirection, you have to have proper training involved in that. That doesn't mean that you're just an attorney or that you're a criminal litigator, but that means that you have proper training in law enforcement procedures and what they consider normal use of force versus excessive use of force, and also what's the national standard? How are you going to change that standard? So there are several organizations out there that have come out and they've had very their program has been proven to be effective in terms of training people properly on how to recognize excessive use and how to sift through the excessive use complaints and how to get to the bottom of fixing this. We have Campaign Zero, which has a 6-step method of curbing and de-escalating police violence within communities, and we can use that as an approach to make the basis of the training for this group so that they can understand what we're looking for, because there is no specificity in terms of what it is that we as a board are looking for from this board. we're putting together a board to police the police, but we have yet to set a standard for what that is. And so I think we have to start somewhere. And so I think Campaign Zero is a good place to start. They have a 6-step approach. They have de-escalation procedures, and one of their suggestions is that mental health personnel be on site when you have a mental health call, and we can determine that through dispatch. And why that's applicable when we're talking about setting up a board to police the police is because you have to know what you're policing. So if you don't know that, this is useless. And so that would be, those are my suggestions, and I think those are the things that need to be tweaked in this. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Just to touch on some of your comments, it calls for us to be able to assist those filing complaints. But this board, according to state law, is not going to be able to net out punishment for the police. The state law that the county attorney just told us a while ago. And County Attorney, would you please again enlighten us as to us being able to punish the police or reprimand the police, the restrictions we have by state law?
Yes, Mayor, just to quote language in one case from the Florida Supreme Court, essentially we shouldn't do anything, really can't do anything that might intrude on the field of disciplining officers. Or subpoenaing police or correctional officers in matters that can lead to discipline, investigating complaints against police or correctional officers. These things are prohibited under state law. Some of the things that Commissioner Sharif mentioned are certainly fair game for this, and we'd be happy to work with Commissioner Sharif and with any other commissioners who would like to propose any amendments to this. If we think they run afoul of law, we'll be very direct about that.
Okay, and a good amount of what was discussed by Commissioner Sharif and others is what would come out of this board, and that is recommendation as to what policies need to be changed. And I'm hoping that one of those recommendations is that we lobby to have the state law change to give more flexibility for us to look at policing more closely in our community. The state has actually taken a lot of those things away from us and have limited us tremendously. We have...
Wait a minute. So because you responded to that, I wanted to say this. In my remarks, I'm not saying that we are dishing out a reprimand, but if we're looking to change something and have meaningful change, then we have to start changing policy. And if this board is going to change policy that we put together, then they have to be educated about what's in place now. And I also think that law enforcement has to play some role at some point in here to help them with that. I understand that the BSO component of it is that they're just an at-large person that gets to have some input. But if you really realistically want to create change, you have to have that input solidly on this board. So somebody can say, hey, you know, this is the direction that we have right now. Because you have so many laws. You're sitting here telling me that the board can't dish out reprimand. Okay, that's fine. Well, then tell me what they can do. Tell me what's within their guidelines, and then create that and make it make sense.
Thank you. Commissioner Furr.
Thank you. It's an interesting concept what we're trying to do here, because it's very rare that a community asks itself, how do you want to be policed? That doesn't usually happen. What it usually happens is that has been handed over to the professional police, and it has been under their domain. This is an interesting concept because it's kind of it's opening it up, which I like, and I support this. I very much appreciate many of the things Dr. Sharif brought up, because I think they warrant taking a good look at. Particularly when I look at the composition on the board, I think there needs to be some mental health position on there, without a doubt.
Just noted.
I mean, that is one of the main issues, throughout the country that has to be looked at. So I think we definitely want to be looking at that. But to Dr. Shrew's point, we are asking ourselves, it's hard because we're not trained in police work. Yet we think we might have an idea about it, but when they get into the nitty-gritty of their policies, we're not sure exactly how they become policies. And we're asking ourselves to be a part of that. That's a big lift.
And there's a training component in
Yes.
this also that
Yeah.
allows for that training to occur.
Right.
Okay.
And
It does say training.
Yes, and I think there's, but I think to Dr. Shrew's point, that whole training part, first you have to know what you're asking yourself to be doing here. What are we asking ourselves, to how far do we want to go with this? Because you are definitely creeping in on the professionalism of the police and asking yourselves, where do we fit in on this? Where can we have that input? Many communities have debates on community policing. What does it mean for each community? So different communities have different thoughts on that. So we would be asking ourselves, where do we stand on that? When I do look at the composition, I think number 8 I had a little concern with, because it would be not because of you, Mayor, but I think what would be, when it's appointed by the mayor, that means it's a 4-year commitment. And because I don't think it's going to be changing every year. I'm not sure that's a good idea. I think it would be better, and that's the one with the clergy, that it may be better to have the clergy pick someone. And there's numerous organizations that have lots of clergy that do that. And then they can kind of, I think all these are 4-year positions, correct? Yeah, so.
No, there's some that are 2.
Some are 2, okay,
Yes.
I missed that. But that's the one that stood out a little bit. I think adding a mental health. And the last thing I'm going to say is, I think there's going to be a lot of people hoping that this is the place to go to when the next big event happens. And they're going to be disappointed. And those expectations need to be squelched quick, because they're going to be expecting this committee or this group to be able to hand down some, and they're not going to be able to do that. And those expectations need to be managed early, before all of this, because this is not going to be able to do what people are thinking it's going to be able to do. I like the idea of what it can do. I love the idea of it being able to have that conversation of what policing means in this day and age in our community, and to make those kind of recommendations. It seems to, most of it deals more with dealing with complaints. I really want us to look at best practices as much as looking at complaints, and being able to look at what other communities are doing, where are some good policing techniques happening, and how can we incorporate those?
That's a policy recommendation that's
Yeah.
built into this.
Okay, and if I didn't see that as,
It's
I
there.
saw a little bit more on the negative than, I want to see it.
It's
as
there
much
for
on
them
the
to bring
positive.
recommendation to policies and procedures that needs to be trained. That's
Okay.
that's a component of this.
Okay, and I could have missed that
Yeah,
easily.
you
I just
did.
want to make sure it's a balance,
Yeah,
where you're looking at both.
that's included in. That's a big part of it.
Okay, good, because those best practices
Absolutely.
that are, that's where it can, I'm hoping that it can have its most long and lasting effect.
Okay.
So those are my thoughts.
All right. Commissioner Bogan. And then we've got, go ahead, please, because we've got another big item that
I want to start off
we are
with
trying to do
with the
something.
county attorney and ask, so if we want to make amendments to this, do we do that now or wait till the next meeting?
We can prepare any written amendments between now and the next meeting, or if you think that the mayor will accept them as friendly amendments in his draft, they can be proposed now. It sounds like we're going to have a lot of amendments to draft,
Okay.
so it might make more sense to do it in between meetings.
Okay, I would like to encourage our commission that we do not do four-year terms. It doesn't make sense to do a four-year term. If you like the person enough, reappoint them the next year, and reappoint them the next year. But to put somebody for 4 years and then you're stuck with them, what if you don't like the way they handle themselves? What if they don't show up at meetings? And what if, what if some of our commissioners are not there? You're stuck, whoever comes in. So I would really, the one thing I would really try to encourage everyone is it doesn't make sense to do four-year appointments. Not at all, unless, I'm leaving the commission and I get to put four-year people there while I'm gone. It doesn't make any sense. I hope that we could amend that. The second thing, I do agree with Commissioner Sharif, even though let's pretend our next mayor is the vice mayor or whoever it might be, I don't think any mayor should be, each one of us should appoint one person. Each one of us should appoint one person, and I think it's in our best interest that the clergy appoint their own, because if I'm friendly with some clergy, and Dale, you're friends with some clergy, and Barbara, and then some are not happy with who we appointed, and so I think it really helps this board and the independentness of the board that the clergy is appointed by the clergy, whatever group. And last but not least, on page 8, I wanted to ask the county attorney. It says here on page 8, line 13. To make recommendations regarding current proposed police agency policies, procedures, practices on matters, disciplinary procedures. I thought you just said to Commissioner Sharif that we're not allowed to get into that area.
You're allowed to make recommendations, and the way this is set up,
okay,
Commissioner Bogan, is you're looking at basically cases after they've been resolved, and you're looking at patterns and trends, and you are allowed to make, this board's allowed to make recommendations. It just can't interject itself into disciplinary matters.
So let me go back a year when I was mayor. A youth, there was a group of high school kids right next door to Coral Springs and Tamarack, I believe. We're in a McDonald's parking lot, and a white police officer pepper sprayed a black high school student in the face. That student walked away, he got thrown to the ground, and then another cop jumped on him and punched him in the face. I called immediately. I urged the firing. Although I have no authority, I had no authority whatsoever. Could this board do the same thing and call for the fire? I mean, obviously the sheriff doesn't have to listen, but can the board do that as well? County attorney?
I'd have to look at this specific charge here, Commissioner Bogan. I think that would be intruding into the field of disciplining. I'm not sure it would be something that would be appropriate for the board to take action on. By the board, I mean this advisory board. Obviously, every member of the advisory board has First Amendment rights and could do what they, or advocate for what they like. But I'd have to figure that out. There are some things that you clearly can't do, and then there's a lot of some things you clearly can do, and then there's a pretty good amount of gray area here. So,
and what happens? You said the board should not be getting involved in telling what disciplinary. What if they do? What's the consequence?
I'd have to look at that. I know that there's a police officer's Bill of Rights. I don't know what the specific consequences are, but we can take a look at that and we can advise you on that.
I would really like to know is, let's say this board is put together and another incident like that happens and the board says, we are outraged, Sheriff, you need to fire that officer. What, a sheriff could say, listen, what he has said to me, the officer is entitled to due process. So what I'd like to know is, what happens to the board if they do that? Would you let me know about that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so my only amendments would be really is the, I think, 1-year terms and that each commissioner appoints one person. What Barbara said. I'm done. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Well, as it is now, there are some 2-year terms and some 4-year terms, and it's the idea of continuity, so that you don't have a whole new board, a potential of a whole new board. I hear you. At any given time, that is the reason for that. And in terms of the best practices, that's a big part of what will be looked at here. And I spent a bit of time talking to law enforcement on this. Sheriff Tony has reviewed it a couple of times. This public defender has. Other members of the legal professions have looked at this. and have given input to adjust it to where it is at this point in time. We'll look at anything else. And by the way, Sheriff Tony, since he got there, has put in place, someone mentioned tracking abuse of power by police. He's got a system in place now where he's looking at folks who might have mental illness or might have abused their power over a certain amount of time, so that we don't get to where we have a situation where an officer 20-something, 30-something times fail to be removed or disciplined, and then they go out and kill someone, as in the case of Mr. Floyd. So let me thank all of you for your input. We'll bring it back. Now we have Young at Heart as our next item. Before.
Mayor, I apologize. We just need a vote on this. It's a motion to adopt resolution. You also have the version that was attached to the item, and then Commissioner Ryan had requested that that one be applied as opposed to the substitute one.
Well, I'm sorry, what are we voting on, please?
No,
You don't know until I make the motion.
so what I'd like though is this, is that we bring any amendments coming forward based on the second version that was put in. Anything you want to amend to that, then you make that amendment.
No, wait, point of order, Mayor, when I was talking earlier, the county attorney told me that that he was going to draft something, otherwise
Yes.
I would have made my motion right then.
So the idea is that's what I'm just reiterating what the county attorney says, to bring
No.
amendments. Well, I mean, I already have
Let me make the motion,
that I
and
brought.
then you can
No,
complain if you want.
you were gone, I think, when I was talking, he said I can't make wouldn't make the motion now. County attorney said that he was going to put it together for our next vote or meeting.
For the public hearing.
Yeah.
Well, I want to make my
To
motion.
make any
then. I'm going to go
amendments.
back and make my motion then.
So let's hear them out.
Yeah,
And we got
let
a
me
bunch
make a
of stuff
motion,
that
and
we got.
if you don't like it, you can make a substitute. But
No, wait, Drew, I really would wish you could,
Can we have order,
Drew,
please?
you turned me off on making a motion, and I'd like you to stand up, I can't see you. You know,
So-
I really.
you don't have to stand up for
No,
him.
Drew.
So can we have order, please? We have now on the floor Commissioner Ryan, and we'll come back to you, Commissioner Bogan, after he's finished.
I move that we adopt the resolution on item 55 and have the substitute ordinance that was proposed by Mayor Holness travel along with the resolution as an exhibit to the resolution for the public hearing. Do I have a second?
So as I understand it, your motion is to adopt the original resolution and then have the amendment just as an exhibit. Do I understand you correctly, Commissioner?
That's correct, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Well, he clarified it.
So there's no
Okay,
second,
there's no
right?
second, it dies. Okay, so the other
I
thing we can
second
do, the other thing is we can just have this move to the next meeting.
No, I'm
Bring
point of order, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I want to be recognized.
Go ahead.
I want to be recognized.
We've got time
I'd like to make
restriction.
I'd like to make, if you don't want to take it a friendly, I'd like to make a motion to amend this, I'd like to amend this matter to where 4-year terms or 2-year term, everything's a 1-year term. If you guys want to interject, change that, it's fine, but at least 1-year term with the right to reappoint, as much as you want that person to keep continuity, and that, again, Commissioner, and the second point would be that the clergy is appointed by clergy, not by any one of us. That's my motion.
So if we spend a lot, let me just say this, if we spend a lot of time on this now, we have a hard time that we must be finished with this meeting by 4 o'clock so we can get into
I can
where
help
staff
you.
can reset.
Can you
And
just
we
let
can
me
always
make
come back
motion to
to our
defer
next
this?
meeting. Yeah.
So if you let me make the motion to defer stops debate, and we'll have to vote on the motion to defer. So I'm making a motion to defer this item until Mr. County Attorney can come back in 2 meetings with all the amendments so that we can consider it for public hearing.
Second.
I second Commissioner Sharif's motion.
All right, well, we've got to call a question on that. Those in favor vote by saying aye.
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 No. So it passes 8-1. I don't think we need to delay this or kick it down the road. We can move the both items, it could be moved down for the next meeting, and we do what we need to do there. All right. Okay, all right, let's, okay, guys, debate is over. Let's go on to public hearings, please. And, Monica, please, would you come back, please? Because we have people waiting online for,
one public speaker for public hearing items.
but do we have anyone for young adult?
There's 42 speakers for
Online right now? All right. So, yeah. Well, you got 42 people from the public that's been sitting there all day. It's kind of not good that well, we try to, but no one seems to have been willing to. We've got one speaker on the pub, and I believe
I'm going to move that we defer the applicant with regard to this question on the leasehold interest. The lessee asked that it be deferred, and so I think as an accommodation, and the county attorney stated that it would not be any substantial prejudice to the county. Let's defer it for 2 weeks. He wanted to be able to consult with his clients. They had a power outage, and we'll pick it up in 2 weeks. Motion to defer.
I haven't even opened the item, so let's.
Okay, then when you open it, ditto.
Okay.
You're in a hurry, now you want to open the item, let's go. Come on, we're ready to go.
Settle down, Mark.
You cut me off from talking because you're in a hurry, but now you want to move forward and deferring.
Yeah.
No, don't cut me off from talking and then you want to sit and take your time to something else.
It shows your character, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you don't recognize me, you don't put me in queue, it shows my character better. It shows your character. You want to open the item?
Do we have a motion on the floor, or no? Or are you just opening it?
Okay, item 49, let me just state again that I believe that it is really disrespectful to the public to have 42 people sitting on the phone waiting to speak on this item for pretty much the entire day, and then we're going to cut them off from having a chance to speak.
Can I comment on that, Mayor?
Let me open the item. Item 49, motion to authorize county administrator to approve and execute a separation agreement with mutual releases between Broward County and Young at Heart of Broward, Inc. We got one person that have to recuse himself first before we go anywhere else.
Thank you.
With this item, Commissioner Furr, go ahead.
Thank you. My daughter is employed by Young at Heart, but was recently furloughed due to the economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic. Young at Heart is the subject of this item and I would be directly impacted by my vote. Therefore, I will be leaving the dais and not voting on item 49. I ask that the minutes of the meeting please reflect that I have abstained.
Okay, now we.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
May I ask a question of the county attorney?
I'm sorry. May
I ask a question of the county attorney?
Okay, we're building a list of speakers on this now. We'll go ahead with you, Senator Geller, followed by Commissioner Ryan. Anyone else?
Yes, Commissioner Rich.
Commissioner Rich, and anyone else? Okay, Commissioner Geller, Vice Mayor Geller, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Depending on the county attorney's office, I may need ask to be added to the queue. My question now for the county attorney is, in the morning meeting, we had said that the county attorney would contact Young at Heart and find out whether they wanted to present today with their attorney or whether they wanted to delay till next week. I don't think that we should hear 42 people today, which I don't think we have time for, and another presentation next week. So have you had the opportunity to check with Young at Art, like you said you would try and do during the morning session?
Yes, Vice Mayor, and I'll fill a little air while Mike Kerr walks up there, who spoke with Mr. DiPietro. But the bottom line is, I think they still do want a deferral for today. I don't know that there's a hard commitment that the only person who would speak would be Mr. DiPietro for 10 minutes. I think the Young at Art folks would aggregate their time in him, and then the rest of them may not speak, but there still may be a number of people from the public who choose to speak when the item comes up. Mr. Kerr, is that accurate?
It's accurate.
And we can't limit the public participation.
Do they pay you to do this?
Okay, Mr. Kerr.
Sometimes.
Okay.
No, I confirmed again earlier this morning, confirmed the request with Mr. DiPietro about deferring, and then I spoke with him during your break, and he confirmed a few things that he would limit his presentation on behalf of YAA to less than 10 minutes, number one. Number two, they're going to contact all the people who apparently tried to contact Senator Geller through his private phone and tell them not to do so. Number three, there would be no adverse actions taken by YAA between now and the deferral date of the next meeting, including litigation, including but not limited to litigation. And that's it.
Okay. Senator Geller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Based on that, I'll wait till Commissioner Ryan makes his motion to defer, which I'll second.
Commissioner Ryan.
Based upon the representations of Mr. DiPietro, Attorney DiPietro, as stated by Mike Kerr, I move that we defer this item for 2 weeks. This is not an item that I believe that Young and Art is interposing a request for deferral in order to delay a decision, but rather based upon exigent circumstances beyond their control with a power outage. In fairness, they need the attorney needs an opportunity to confer with the client and their representatives so that they may prepare their best position with regard to the issues surrounding a separation agreement. So I move that we defer this item. Is it going to be for a time certain for 2 weeks?
Commissioner, if I might, if you could say to the next meeting, because it's technically 12 days.
To the next meeting. Defer to the next meeting.
Before someone seconds, Commissioner Rich, just a courtesy, you wanted to speak.
No, I have to say I'm very frustrated by this because they have known about this for a long time, for certainly a couple of weeks and more because of how long this has been going on. So it's kind of very artificial to me that we're deferring it because of the power outage. And the email that was sent out by Mr. Speckler was pretty adversarial. So, I mean, I know what we're in for no matter when we do it, but I kind of am sorry to see that we would not go ahead with this, this week because I really feel very strongly that they were prepared because they knew exactly what was going on and what was going to be discussed and about the termination issue. So,
Senator Geller, your second.
Second the motion.
Okay.
Yes.
Second by
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner
I've pressed
Bogan.
for a long time, and I always grant an extension when opposing counsel requests. So I therefore second.
Okay, it's been moved in second. Those in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion to defer. No, it was a motion to defer.
His motion to defer.
Yes.
I got one motion today.
A motion by Commissioner Ryan, second by Commissioner Bogan, and the vote, you didn't chime in, Commissioner Fisher.
Mayor, just real quick, I know that there was a deadline, County Attorney, for September 15th. It's in the authorization. Does that need to be changed as well, or because I just, time is of the essence, so I'm just needed your legal opinion on that.
Why don't we keep it there for right now, Commissioner Fisher, and then if there needs to be a modification, we can do that by additional material during the week.
So there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, again, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay? Okay. So we have, it passes 5-3. If we may, we can go around and poll.
It's 4-3. It's 4-3.
Oh, we're not being for, right. 4-3 with
One abstention.
one abstention. Okay.
It does not.
4-3 with Commissioner Furs abstaining.
No, then it would be 5-3.
Actually, yes, correct,
Yeah,
5-3.
Geller?
We've got 2 up, 2, 4, 6, and 2 up, that's 8.
We got
5-3.
4 here that defer, plus Geller is 5. Fisher, myself.
Lamar, are you voting to defer or not? You want to
Not to
listen to the
defer.
40 people?
Okay, so then let's probably do everyone tells us. Commissioner Fisher, for deferral and not for deferral? No deferral? Commissioner Sharif, no deferral. No deferral. Commissioner Udine.
It's going to be 4-4, so
Okay.
we got to
No.
go forward.
Okay, let's go ahead. Got 40 people on the phone.
Go ahead.
So here's what we're going to have to do, colleagues. We're going to have a late evening. Because at 4 o'clock, we're going to have to shut down to come back at 5 because staff need to reset the system for the public hearing. Okay? And as staff tell me we can extend beyond 4 o'clock, we're going to have to hold hard. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and go. So at this point in time, it fails 4-4 for deferral. Let me just make sure our captioner knows. Commissioner Fisher, Sharif, Udine, Rich votes not to defer, and Holness, Bogan, Geller, and Ryan vote to defer. Okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
You want to listen for an hour and a half? Well, we got a budget hearing and stay here till 9 o'clock, that's all. No, I seconded his motion to defer because my understanding, Mayor, correct that, but
We got 40-something people on.
their
It's,
attorney is willing
almost
to,
50.
next meeting, cut that down.
Okay.
But if you guys want to listen to 40-something people.
So,
That's not what they
Excuse me,
committed
but,
to. And then
Mr. Mayor?
hold on, 1 second, please. We got multiple people speaking at the same time. We can't do that.
The whole reason that I voted not to defer this now is because that wasn't committed to from the attorney. I know exactly what all 40 people are gonna say because I've gotten emails from 500-600 of these people already.
Okay.
I know exactly how I'm gonna vote on this issue before I'm even listening to the people because
Me too.
some of this stuff just seems so obvious based on the factual documentation. I've seen this story so many times before. I know after we vote how this story is gonna play out. So I'm willing to listen to the people. If we come back in 2 weeks at the next meeting, we have the police board that we just spoke about. That's gonna be a very lengthy item. If we keep pushing all these lengthy items meeting after meeting, I'm here, I'm ready, let's do it. There's no reason for a power outage at a facility where no one's allowed to be to have an issue with why I'm hearing this today.
Commissioner Rich. And then we're going to go to the public.
I just want to say that there is no guarantee. I think the people should be heard this week. And again, I believe, like Commissioner Udine, that we have seen the emails. But that's, excuse me, I want to just finish what I'm saying. There is no guarantee because people can come back next week. People can come back next week, and nobody can stop them from signing up to speak because that's their right. So we could have 42 or 48 people next week or next 2 weeks as well. I believe we need to move on with this.
Thank you very much, Senator Rich. We'll go ahead on to the public, and we have a hard time at 4:15 that we're going to have to break in order to reset for our public, for our budget hearing.
Comment very quickly. Can I make a motion to move the Young at Art item to tonight at 7 o'clock so we can finish the rest of the agenda? And then
Because
we can finish the
we
rest of
can
the
finish
agenda,
the rest of the
get
agenda
everything
right
else
now.
done, and we'll come back at 7.
Hold on a second.
That's my
Okay,
I'll second it.
so we have a motion and a second. The first one failed, so it's in order, our county attorney, correct?
That's fine, Mayor, yes.
We have a motion and a second to defer this item to the end of our meeting tonight, after budget? Okay. All right, we, motion second. Those in favor vote by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, no?
No.
Okay. So it passes 2, 4, 6, 7-1 with 1 abstention. I'm sorry, Monica, you have, let me hear from staff there. Let's hear from staff.
So,
You can ask about whether people can be heard from.
I don't know what your question is.
I'm told that maybe the folks are not, that maybe Senator Geller's not able to be heard.
No, he's not muted. I just double checked that there's no issue there.
Okay.
Senator Geller, can you,
Hear
wanna
me?
Yeah,
Yes,
we can
we
hear you
can.
fine, yep. So, Mr. Mayor,
I move that we fire Bell South or whoever is running our damn system because I'm tired of their inefficiency and
it's not about
inability to not mute me.
Okay. All right, Deputy County Administrator Sapiro.
so I'm told that the individuals that are on the line for the Young at Art item, since we are switching platforms because of the statutory requirements we have for the budget public hearing, that they will be emailed a new set of instructions with the phone number for the budget public hearing so that they will be able to call in on that platform for your item that will be later this evening. I just wanted everyone on the line to be able to hear that they'll be getting an email with the instructions to call back in for their time later this evening for the item.
Here's a concern. When we open to the public for the budget hearing, will we get those bleed into that budget hearing and then even cause us more time? That's a concern. Maybe we ought to, at the end of the budget hearing, take some time, reset it while we go through, reset it and get them to come back on, because it could be 10, 11 o'clock tonight.
Mayor, I don't know that that's wise to have that hearing at that late hour, quite frankly. And if I make a motion to reconsider my vote to defer, I just don't think it's healthy on both ends. It's not healthy for this board to sit here until midnight, and number two, not healthy for these folks to have to sit back on the phone until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night at this point, now that this has come to fruition. So I don't know, can I make a motion to reconsider the deferral to the next meeting? I think it's just going to be more healthy that way, Mayor, at the end of the day.
Okay, so you were, well.
I was on prevailing side.
There was no prevailing side, so a motion.
No prevailing side.
And I'm going to make
Okay.
a motion that we defer.
But we had a subsequent motion that says we go till end, so did you vote to go to the end?
I did.
Yes, okay, so now.
Can I reconsider
yeah.
that motion?
So we're reconsidering the motion to defer to the end of the meeting.
I'll make a
Mayor-
motion to reconsider.
Yeah, county attorney.
Yeah, if I may say, Commissioner Fisher, I don't think another item has been called, and if no other item has been called, I think under the rules, you could change your vote if you'd like on that without a motion for reconsideration.
So just to change his vote, and then it'll be 5-4, and then we are, I'm sorry, 5-3 for deferral.
Yeah, and again, the purpose of it, I understand what Commissioner Udines talked about 100%, and I agree with that. It's just that I don't think it's beneficial for both parties, us as well as the public, to go that late at that particular time. So that's
Okay.
why I'm making that
I
reconsideration.
appreciate that. County attorney, since there was a subsequent motion to that motion that failed, so you want to reconsider, so there's a motion to reconsider then, County, how do we handle this, sir?
I'll withdraw my motion to have this at 7 o'clock tonight.
It's already voted on.
And instead change my motion to do it 1:30 next Tuesday before we do this supposed other workshop that we're putting on the agenda.
Second.
So instead of being 7 o'clock tonight, it would be Tuesday at 1:30, and then we can go into the workshop.
Okay.
Mayor, we can do,
I second that motion.
Well, we got 2 seconds. Okay, County Attorney, I need to make sure we keep this straight, okay?
how about this, Mayor? The cleanest procedural process, if the board's okay with it, is I put this on, I can withdraw it, and I will just put it on, and then with the mayor's permission, we'll set it for a time certain for the 22nd.
Okay, so at this point in time, the County Attorney is withdrawing item 49, and we'll reset that to another time. Okay, thank you. So we'll go ahead and we're going to go into the public hearing now.
Excuse me, that wasn't what Commissioner Udine said. He said at the workshop.
Well, the county
So
attorney.
what date are we?
It's the county attorney's
Are we
item,
actually going to do this?
It's the county attorney's item. He can withdraw it if he chooses to withdraw it and bring it back. County attorney, would you be bringing it back on Tuesday, or do you want to let us know?
Mayor,
right now?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that out of Commissioner Udine. If that's the will of the board to bring it back, a special meeting, I think it's a special workshop has been called for next Tuesday.
Right.
I'm not sure if it's a special meeting. We would need to do a special meeting also because you'd be voting on this item. So if the board wants to do that, we'll make that part of the call, and we'll do it next Tuesday.
But not at a specific time.
22nd.
Well, Mr. Mayor, just to clarify, because we may need, starting at 1:30 for the workshop on elections, so if we're going to do this, it may need to be earlier or later. So I just want to clarify that it's not at 1:30.
I kind of heard 4 people suggesting that we do it on the 22nd, or 5.
No.
Hello.
That is not what.
I renew my motion to defer until the September 22nd on the young at art.
Well, the county attorney already withdraw his item, so it's once you.
What do you say, Drew?
Once you bring an item, he can withdraw it. He can determine, I'm sorry, one moment, please. He can determine whether or not he's willing to bring it back on a Tuesday or on the 22nd. County attorney.
I'll bring it back on the 22nd if that's okay with the board. Thank you.
No problem. All right, we're done. It's his
No,
item.
it's not
He's
okay
able
with
to
me.
withdraw
So
it.
I'm voting no if there's a vote.
No, well, there's none, because he was.
Commissioner Udine.
He's withdrawing
But
his item,
Commissioner
so.
Udine had made it. Excuse me, but
Go ahead.
Commissioner Udine had made a motion to have it at the workshop, and that's what we were voting on until I don't know what happened here to Robert's Rules of Order, but okay.
The sponsor of the motion has withdrawn his item.
Robert left town.
County attorney. Are we clear now? It's your item. You choose to withdraw it. That's it, and you're bringing it back another time.
Yeah, I work for the board, Mayor. I'm planning on withdrawing it because I think that's the will of the board. If I thought a majority of the board wanted to hear it today, then we'd go forward with Plan B, which is after the public budget workshop. So right now, we're planning on bringing it back on September 22nd. That's okay.
All right. With that, we're going to go ahead to our public hearing items. We will open up item 33 is a motion to adopt supplemental budget resolution within the general fund to amend revenues and appropriations prior to the close of the fiscal year.
Mayor?
We'll open to the public. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak? None signed up?
Okay.
We'll come back to the board.
So, Mayor,
33.
there is a way to dispose of,
Hey, guys, come on, please.
Mayor, there is a
Okay.
way for us to dispose of.
Hello, guys. Please, let's have one meeting.
There is a way for us to dispose of item 33 through 39 because they're all supplemental budget
All right, great.
resolutions at one
Great,
time.
great.
If you open the public hearing for items 33 through 39,
Okay.
we can
So,
all vote on all of them at once.
so we'll do just that. I'm going to read all the items and then,
You don't have to read them.
no need to read, county attorney?
Just the short scripts, Mayor. Just,
Okay.
yes, 33 through 39, because there are multiple parts.
I have to read
Yeah.
each one, correct?
But you can read them all, though, right now. You're opening it on all
That's
of the
what I
items. You can
intended
take
to
one
do.
vote.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to open the public hearing on item 33 through 39. I'll read the items. I already read 33. 34 has three parts that will be considered at the same time. Part A is a motion to adopt supplemental budget resolutions within the special purpose and trust funds to amend revenues and appropriations prior to the close of the fiscal year. Part B is a motion to adopt supplemental budget resolution within the Building Code Services Special Purpose Fund, transferring funds from the reserve to provide a rebate to the Aviation Department and as unearned revenue for active permits to comply with 2019 HB 447. Part C is a motion to adopt supplemental budget resolution within the court facilities fee fund, transferring funds from capital projects to the reserve for project commitments. Item 35 has four parts that we'll consider at the same time. Part A is a motion to adopt supplemental budget resolution within the special revenue funds to amend revenues and appropriations prior to the close of the fiscal year. Part B is a motion to adopt supplemental budget resolution within the Convention Center and Visitors Bureau Fund, transferring funds to adjust budgeted items from debt service to special revenue fund. Part C is a motion to adopt supplemental budget resolution within the Convention Center Fund, transferring funds to mitigate for decrease to tourist tax revenue transfer. Part D is a motion to adopt supplemental budget resolutions within the Transportation Tax Surtax Fund, transferring funds to fund one assistant attorney position in the general fund. Item 36 is a motion to adopt supplemental budget resolution within the debt service funds to amend revenues and appropriations prior to the close of the fiscal year. Item 37 has five parts that we will consider at the same time. Part A is a motion to adopt supplemental budget resolutions within the capital funds to amend revenues and appropriations prior to the close of the fiscal year. Part B is a motion to adopt supplemental budget resolution transferring funds within Convention Center Hotel Capital Fund to transfer expense budget to reserve. Part C is a motion to adopt supplemental budget resolution transferring funds within the Beach Renourishment Capital Fund to mitigate for decrease the tourist tax revenue transfer. Part D is a motion to adopt supplemental budget resolution transferring funds within the Parks and Land Bond Preservation Capital Fund to increase the Trade Winds Park improvements project budget. Part E is a motion to adopt supplemental budget resolution transferring funds within the Transit Capital Non-Grant Fund to the Transit Capital Grant Fund. Item 38 has two parts that we will consider at the same time. Part A is a motion to adopt supplemental budget resolution within the enterprise funds to amend revenues and appropriations prior to the close of the fiscal year. Part B is a motion to adopt supplemental budget resolution transferring funds within the passenger facility charge capital fund due to reduction in transfer amount to debt service and allocations to reserves. Item 39 has two parts that we'll consider at the same time. Part A is a motion to adopt supplemental budget resolution within the Internal Service Fund to amend revenues and appropriations prior to the close of the fiscal year. Part B is a motion to adopt budget resolution within the Owner-Controlled Insurance Fund to transfer funds from the reserve to cover run-out claims costs. And with that, We need to see whether or not there's anyone from the public wishing to speak. And
There's,
there
there's
appears
no
to
one, there's no one on these items on the line to speak.
So we have no one. With that, we come to the dais.
Mayor, I make a motion to move public hearing items 33 through 39.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor vote by saying aye.
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 Okay, as it is, we have 8 of us on the dais. 9. You're voting aye? Okay. So 9 of us, it passes unanimously. Item 40 is a motion to enact an ordinance amending the comprehensive plan text related to the capital improvements element.
No one.
Okay, there's no one from the public wishing to speak. We come back to the dais.
Motion to approve?
Do I have a second? So, motion, Commissioner Sharif, second by Commissioner Furr. Those in favor vote by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. Item 41 is a motion to enact an ordinance adopting county land use plan text amendment PCT 20-2 regarding the Pompano Beach Downtown Activity Center as an amendment to the comprehensive plan.
I'll move it, Mayor.
Second.
Is there anyone from the public? No one?
No one.
Okay. There's a motion by Commissioner Fisher, second by Commissioner Sharif. We have debate. Commissioner Bogan.
Commissioner Fisher, I just wanted to ask you on this matter, do you know whether RMA, the company that does the CRA for Northwest Pompano, is involved in this project?
Not to my knowledge, Commissioner.
So it came to me, because, you know, you know, this is our area, and, you know, I've had some people in the community from Northwest Pompano claiming that this had to do with, you know, RMA and how they have, you know, they're very upset with the way monies have been spent in Northwest Pompano and the way that, you know, on and on with CRA, you know that history of.
Right.
And so, you know, normally I would be in favor of it, as, you know, you're from Pompano and it's part of my district, but if RMA is involved, I really would not be in favor of it. And I just wanted to know, is there staff or anybody would know whether RMA, the company RMA, Bertha, you certainly know who she is. Do you know whether she's involved in this project?
I do not, but if Mr. Villalpando is on the line and he's aware, he can certainly call in. Otherwise, if you come back to that item, we'll try to get an answer if we can tonight.
I too got a call from someone quite irate that this is going to benefit RMA.
So to benefit, as far as
that they're part
as
of it
far
somehow.
as they're with the application for the downtown activity center.
I don't, all I was told, they're either part of it, benefiting from it, involved in it, and so everybody should know this is a company that was on TV last 2 years ago, whatever, where Bob Norman showed they were buying real estate in an area that was a low-income area, and then they were using tax money, which was not illegal, by the way. They were using tax money to rehabilitate the area where they personally bought property. And my constituents have felt that for many years, Bertha could certainly chime in, for many years, they have not benefited Northwest Pompano. And so I would have to vote against this, Mayor, if, unless you want to wait, it's up to you.
Yeah, so what we'll probably do is wait, but I think the parcels of land that they bought are within this area, within this zone. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we can do that.
So we'll table this item until we get an answer.
Thank you, Mayor.
Ms. Sapira, if you can work with Mr. Villalpando, see if he can get an answer to this question while we move on to the next item.
So if I may clarify, the issue is whether or not they own property that is in this area and or that they are part of the management of this program?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so that's what we're looking for. We'll then lay that on the table and come back to it. Item 42 is a motion to adopt resolution transmitting the
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to speak on that.
42 is a motion to adopt resolution transferring to designated state review agency a proposed amendment to the county land use plan text PCT 20-3 to revise policy 2.16.3 regarding bonus density formulas. We'll go to the public first. Is there anyone from the public? No one?
No one from the public.
Okay, we have a motion to approve, but we have someone wishing to debate the issue or say something on the issue. And I didn't hear a second, so we'll go to we'll go
Vice
to
Mayor Geller.
Vice Mayor Geller. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be